Good morning, everyone. Today is Friday. That is Bread Machine Friday. It's a rainy day on the homestead, but that's all right because we got a lot of work to do inside today. From Grandma's Diary, Fanny, June 15th, 1942. Today we picked cherries in Mountville. We canned 194 quarts in 2 days. 44 of them were seeded and 50 were not. Hi everyone, and welcome in my kitchen again. And today's Friday. That means Bread Machine Friday. And today we're going to make garlic bread because I'm going to have spaghetti here for supper tonight. So we want to have some really good homemade garlic bread. This comes to you by, again, the Electric Bread Cookbook. This is from Williams and Simona. It is an older cookbook and it is still my favorite, even though I got a few of them at the book sale the other week. This one still is my favorite because all of the recipes are so good. They are tried and true and they work amazing. It is another rainy day here. It seems like this is just what our summer is going to be like. But that's all right because we have work to do in the kitchen today. And we're going to get started. So welcome again to Bread Machine Friday. I just want to share with you also, if you don't have a bread machine, that's perfectly fine. You don't have to have a bread machine for these recipes. In fact, these recipes make one loaf of bread, which is very easy to make by hand or to use in a KitchenAid mixer. So, let's get started. For today's garlic bread, we are going to have this with spaghetti. This is a picture of the garlic bread. So, we are going to use a recipe for 1 large loaf. The recipe is for 1 large loaf. We are going to have 1 cup plus 2 tablespoons of water. 1.5 tablespoons of sugar. Three cups plus 2 tablespoons of flour. I always use bread flour. We're going to have 1 teaspoon of salt. One tablespoon of butter. And you don't have to have it completely soft, room temperature. And then what I do is I always cut mine up in little pieces. One teaspoon of garlic powder. It smells so good. Tablespoons of Parmesan cheese. Teaspoons of yeast. And that is active dry yeast. There you go. That's all it is to it. To you the recipe once again. This is for a large loaf. 1 cup plus 2 tablespoons of water. 3 cups plus 2 tablespoons of flour. 2 tablespoons of sugar. 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of butter, 3 tablespoons of Parmesan cheese, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, and 2 teaspoons of active dry yeast. We're going to put this on our dough setting and I'll get back to you and show you when it's finished rising, putting it in our bread pan. While our bread is rising, I just had to share this with you. Our Walmart had 5-pound bags of the bread flour for $1.50 a bag. Now in my area, that is really cheap. So I stocked up on, as you can see, I got a bunch of them. So $1.50 for 5 pounds of the bread flour. Let me know if that is a good price, because to me, that seemed like an amazing price. And it's white lily as well. You know me, if I get one thing that I think is a bargain, well, I gotta get a lot more than that. So I got a bunch of it. So as you can see, it's starting to form nicely. Now you don't have to worry about if it's a little sticky at the moment. So about 5 minutes later, you can see it's just a little bit sticky. So what I just do is I just put a little bit of flour in it. It's very humid today, and it's very damp and rainy, so it's going to make a difference with my bread. It'll form much better. I don't think I'm going to need any more flour, so we're great to go. Now you will have to play a little bit with your flour. Want it just a little bit sticky, but you don't want it that it doesn't form a ball. Perfect. All right. When it's done rising, I'll get it out and I'll put it in the bread pans. So the bread is done rising in the bread machine. Let me pull it out and show you what it looks like. See how beautiful that is? You can see that it has risen. So now all we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put it on our surface. Because this is such a good shape and a good dough, I'm not going to add a whole lot of flour. The problem is when you add too much flour, it makes a very heavy bread. So what I'm just going to do is just take a little bit of flour and with my hands. That way my hands don't stick to it. You can see it is such a nice, light, and airy dough. Beautiful. So all we're going to do is we're just going to shape it. Put it in our pan that is greased very well. And that's what it looks like. So what we're going to do is we are going to let it rise until it's about 1 inch above the pan, the lip of the pan. So there you go. Now all we have to do is wait probably about 1 hour to 1.5 hours, depending on your temperature and depending on your weather. And then when it's done risen, I will go ahead and I will take a video of it and then we'll put it in the oven. We want to have it at 350 for about 35 to 40 minutes. I am notorious for not letting my bread in the oven long enough. So we want to make sure that we have it in long enough. To tell when your bread is done is you tap the top of it and if it sounds hollow. The bread is rising. I was just going to work on my spaghetti. I have my homemade spaghetti sauce, which I will do a video on it this summer. And I got these noodles for 50 cents and it is hidden veggie thin spaghetti. And take a look. My 50-cent lid fits on top of this crock pot that was my mom's that didn't have a lid. Woohoo! I am extra happy with that. 50 cents covers the lid for my kettle and the lid for the crock pot. There you go. The bread has already risen and it only took about 1 hour and 10 minutes. So we're going to preheat our oven at 350 and we will put it in and we will bake it at about 35 minutes. Alright, the bread is finished and it has a perfect shape to it. This is why I don't like baking in the bread machine. You don't have that nice old-fashioned look. So we're just going to pop it out and put it up on our rack. Now what I always do to all of my bread is I always glaze it with butter. The ingredients to make homemade bread are so frugal, it's so simple, and it's so nutritious compared to store-bought bread that I hope you give it a try, whether you have a bread machine or not. Cool, it's best to always let your bread cool before you cut it. So we're going to let it cool, and then I will show you the meal all plated up. Alright everyone, there's the spaghetti, and there's the bread we made. And look how beautiful it is. I just want to show you how nicely it bakes inside, and that's perfect. So, there you go, is spaghetti and garlic bread on this Bread Machine Friday. Take care everyone, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.